The Universal Gateway of Guanyin Bodhisattva. At that time, inexhaustible intention, Bodhisattva arose from his seat, bared his right shoulder, joined his palms, and said to the Buddha, World Honored One, why is Guanyin Bodhisattva named Guanyin, perceiver of callings of the world? The Buddha said to inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva, Good man, if hundreds, thousands, millions, or countless number of sentient beings who suffer a myriad of afflictions heard of Guanyin Bodhisattva, and single-mindedly recited his name, the Bodhisattva would immediately perceive their calls and deliver them from their suffering. If someone maintained the recitation of the name Guanyin Bodhisattva and encountered a great fire, he would not be burned because of the Bodhisattva's extraordinary powers. If one were washed away by a great billow of water and recited the name of this Bodhisattva, he would soon find himself in shallow waters. If hundreds, thousands, millions of sentient beings went out on the ocean seeking gold, silver, lapis lazuli, coral, amber, pearl, and other treasures, and an ill wind blew their ship to the land of the demon Rakshasas, even if a single person recited the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, all these people would be freed from the dangers of the Rakshasas. This is why he is called Guanyin Bodhisattva, perceiver of callings of the world. If someone on the verge of being harmed recited the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, then the swords and sticks wielded by his attackers would break into many pieces and he would be saved. If the trichilocosm were filled with yakshas and rakshasas seeking to torment people, yet hearing these people recite the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, these demons would not even be able to look at them with their menacing eyes, much less do them any harm. If there were people, whether guilty or innocent, physically confined by handcuffs, shackles, or chains, who recited the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, their bonds would all be broken and they would be free. If the trichilocosm were full of vengeful bandits, and there was a merchant chief leading a band of merchants carrying precious goods on a dangerous road, and among them one person called out, Good men, do not be afraid. You should all single-mindedly recite the name Guanyin Bodhisattva. This Bodhisattva can grant fearlessness to all beings. If you call out his name, you will be delivered from the dangers of these vengeful bandits. When the merchants heard this, they all called out Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. Because they called out this name, they were immediately delivered from the dangers of these bandits. Inexhaustible intention, such are the awe-inspiring and extraordinary powers of Guanyin Bodhisattva. If there were sentient beings beset by excessive lust and craving, who constantly revered and recited the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, they would be freed from such desires. If they were filled with anger, by constantly revering and reciting the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, they would be freed from anger. If they were filled with foolishness and ignorance, by constantly revering and reciting the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, they would be freed from ignorance. Exhaustible intention, such are the abundant benefits conferred by the great and extraordinary powers of Guanyin Bodhisattva. Therefore, sentient beings should always be mindful of him. If a woman desired a son and made obeisance and offerings to Guanyin Bodhisattva, she would give birth to a son blessed with merits, virtue, and wisdom. And if she desired a daughter, she would bear a daughter of good demeanor and looks, with merits accumulated from past lives, beloved and respected by all. Inexhaustible intention, such is the power of Guanyin Bodhisattva. If there were sentient beings who revered and paid respect to Guanyin Bodhisattva, they would surely accumulate blessings. Therefore, sentient beings should uphold the name Guanyin Bodhisattva. Inexhaustible intention, if someone were to uphold the names of bodhisattvas as numerous as the sands of 62 million Ganges rivers, and who throughout their lifetime made offerings of food, clothing, bedding, and medicines to them, what do you think? Would such a good man or woman gain many merits? Inexhaustible intention said, the merits would be immense. World Honored One. The Buddha said, if there were another person who upheld the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, or even just at one time paid obeisance and made offerings to him, the blessings of these two would be exactly equal, without any difference. Their good fortune would not be exhausted for hundreds of thousands of millions of kalpas. Inexhaustible intention, if one were to uphold the name Guanyin Bodhisattva, one would receive the benefit of such innumerable blessings. Inexhaustible intention, Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, why does Guanyin Bodhisattva journey in the Saha world? How does he preach the Dharma to sentient beings? How does he utilize expedient means? The Buddha said to inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva, good man, if there were living beings on this earth who would be liberated by a Buddha, then Guanyin Bodhisattva would manifest as a Buddha to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Pratyekya Buddha, he manifests as a Pratyekya Buddha to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Shravaka, he appears as a Shravaka to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by King Brahman, he appears as King Brahma to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by King Shakra, he appears as King Shakra to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by an Ishvara, he appears as an Ishvara to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Mahashavra, he appears as a Mahashavra to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a great heavenly general, he appears as a great heavenly general to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Vaishravana, he appears as a Vaishravana to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a minor king, he appears as a minor king to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by an elder, he appears as an elder to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a householder, he appears as a householder to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a chief minister, he appears as a chief minister to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Brahmin, he appears as a Brahmin to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Bhikshu, Bhikshuni, Upshaka, or Upashika, he appears as a Bhikshu, Bhikshuni, Upashaka, or Upashika to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by the wife of an elder, chief minister, or Brahman, he appears as a wife of an elder, chief minister, or Brahman to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a boy or girl, he appears as a boy or girl to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by heavenly being, dragon, yaksha, Gandharva, Ashura, or Garada, he appears as a heavenly being, dragon, yaksha, Gandharva, Ashura, or Garuda to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Kimara, Maharaja, human or non-human, he appears as a Kimnara, Maharaja, human or non-human to preach the Dharma. To those who would be saved by a Vajrapani, he appears as a Vajrapani to preach the Dharma. Inexhaustible intention. Guanyin Bodhisattva has succeeded in acquiring such merits and can use myriad forms to go about the world to save sentient beings. Because of this, you should all wholeheartedly make offerings to Guanyin Bodhisattva. This great Bodhisattva can bestow fearlessness on those who are fearful and in imminent danger. This is why the Saha world calls him the bestower of fearlessness. Inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, I shall now make an offering to Guanyin Bodhisattva." He then took off his necklace of many precious gems worth hundreds of thousand tallies of gold and offered it to Guanyin Bodhisattva, saying, "Benevolent One, accept this necklace of precious gems as a Dharma gift." But Guanyin Bodhisattva would not accept it. Inexhaustible intention again addressed Guanyin Bodhisattva, saying, "Benevolent One, out of compassion for us, please accept this necklace." The Buddha then told Guanyin Bodhisattva, out of compassion for inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva, and the fourfold assembly, the heavenly gods, dragons, yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Maharajas, humans and non-humans, you should accept this necklace. Then Guanyin Bodhisattva accepted the necklace out of compassion for the fourfold assembly, the heavenly gods, dragons, humans, and non-humans, and divided it into two parts. He offered one part to Shakyamuni Buddha, and the other part to the stupa of the Buddha of many jewels. Inexhaustible intention, such is the self-mastery and spiritual powers of Guanyin Bodhisattva as he journeys in the Saha world. At that time, inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva rephrased his question in verse. World Honored One, replete with wonderful features, I now ask you once again, for what reason is the son of Buddha named perceiver of callings of the world? World Honored One, replete with wonderful features, answered inexhaustible intention in verse. Listen as I describe the conduct of Guanyin, who aptly responds to calls from all places. His great oath is as deep as the ocean, persisting through innumerable kalpas. He has served billions of Buddhas and made sublime and pure vows. I will now tell you in brief that for those who hear his name or see him, be mindful and let not a single thought wander, then the woes of existence may be extinguished. Should someone intend to harm you and push you into a great fiery pit, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, the fire pit will turn into a pond. Should you be adrift in the vast ocean with dangers of dragons, fish, and demons, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, the waves cannot drown you. Should you be pushed off the peak of Mount Sumeru, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, you will stand like the sun in space. When pursued by malicious people and falling off of Raja Mountain, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, not one strand of hair will be harmed. When surrounded by vengeful bandits, each brandishing a knife to harm you, by the power of of mindfulness of Guanyin, loving kindness will arise in their minds. When in trouble with the law, facing punishment or execution, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, the executioner's blade will shatter. Should you be imprisoned and shackled, with hands and feet bound by fetters and chains, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, you will regain your freedom. Should one wish to harm you with curses and poisonous herbs, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, the harm will return to the giver. When encountering evil Rashakas, poisonous dragons or demons, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, none will dare to harm you. When surrounded by savage beasts with frightful claws and sharp fangs, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, they will quickly retreat into the distance. When faced with serpents, vipers, and scorpions, with poisonous breath, smoke, and flames, by mindfully reciting Guanyin, they will retreat upon your voice. When clouds of roaring thunder and lightning send down hail or floods of rain, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, they will soon dissipate. When sentient beings encounter adversities and are beset with countless woes, the power of Guanyin's wisdom will save them from the world of suffering. Replete with transcendental powers, Guanyin broadly cultivates wisdom and expedient means. Throughout the world of 10 directions, there is no place where he does not appear. All woeful states of existence, hells, ghosts, and beasts, and the sufferings of birth, old age, sickness, and death will all be gradually eliminated. Master the true contemplation, pure contemplation of great encompassing wisdom, compassion and kindness contemplation. We wish to always behold you with reverence. Your pure light, free from defilement, is the sun of wisdom dispelling all darkness. It can quell the calamities of winds and fires and illuminate the whole world. A body of compassion brings the thunder of precepts. A mind of kindness forms the great clouds that shower sweet dew of the Dharma to quench flames of afflictions. In court disputes and litigation, or in fearful military battle, by the power of mindfulness of Guanyin, all hostilities will be dispersed. Wondrous is your sound, perceiver of callings of the world, a pure sound, a sound like the ocean tide, beyond all worldly sounds. We shall always behold in our minds. In thought after thought, let no doubt arise. Guanyin is the pure sage. In times of suffering, agony, danger, and death, he is our refuge and protector. Replete in all merits and virtues, Guanyin views sentient beings with merciful eyes. The sea of blessing he has accumulated is immeasurable. Therefore, we should pay homage to him. At that time, Earth Guardian Bodhisattva rose from his seat, came forward, and said to the Buddha, World Honor One, let it be known to those who hear this chapter on the Guanyin Bodhisattva, the self-mastery of his actions and his manifestations of extraordinary powers in this universal gateway for sentient beings, that their merits are immeasurable. When the Buddha preached this chapter of the Universal Gateway, the 84,000 in the assembly made the resolve to attain complete unsurpassed enlightenment. The Universal Gateway of Guanyin Bodhisattva.